I just want to say that while we were watching this movie, I felt the incredible urge to tweet at the entire country of Germany that they should apologize for it, and I did. Welcome to Rough Cuts, everyone.
Okay, so this movie, I have a quick question for you. I thought that the worst movie that we'd ever watched was Cop Dog on this, and
Right.
I still feel like what's the worst movie now that we've seen on this podcast? I just have to get your opinion.
I would have to go with Millionaire Dogs for
You have to go with this one?
100, Alex.
So, I would like to agree with you, but I'm going to disagree. I still think... sorry, not Cop Dog. I meant Karate Dog.
Okay.
I still feel like Karate Dog...
Okay, hold on.
I still feel like Karate Dog is the worst movie that we watched because... Only because of this, though. Because Karate Dog was shot competently enough to, like, be boring.
Well...
This movie is so stunningly bad in every possible dimension that I couldn't tear my eyes off of it. That being said, it was mostly horrifying. But it's...
So here's the problem. Here's the problem. Karate Dog is embarrassing. Like, literally embarrassing.
Yes.
This movie made me feel filthy.
Yeah.
Like, I needed a shower, in a cold shower,
Yeah.
and just hang my head down for like an hour.
I mean, this is... I'll put this in context. This is the first movie where we've made it about halfway through, and then we both were like, all right, can we take a break here for a little while?
Yeah,
like,
I need a minute.
Leave.
Yeah.
We both had to leave. We had to stop. We had to stop the recording and just take a breather. And this is an hour and 20 minutes. It is brain-meltingly bad.
Yeah.
I stopped taking notes eventually because it just doesn't matter. And it's also that... Two things. A, the plot doesn't matter. B, it is seared into my memory, whether I want it to be or not, so I'm just gonna have to fucking deal with that anyway. There's no way I can get away from it, so whatever, it's fine, I don't need notes. This is now indelibly part of my identity for the rest of time, for good or ill, and it is definitely for ill, because oh man.
Right.
So, this is our first animated filter.
Yeah, we were...
Feature.
Okay, so...
I can't... My brain doesn't work. My brain doesn't work after this. I'm
Oh my
done.
God.
I'm
You
so
have...
done.
You
I
have...
have my head in my hand. Like, I'm done. This movie broke me as a person.
Okay.
I've said that before, but, like, I wish that I hadn't been hyperbolic about any other films.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
this is... I don't think we can ever top how bad this is. It's stunning. Is there anything redeeming about it? Anything?
Well, let's get into the topic of what is happening in the film,
Sure.
and then how about we figure that out? Okay, it's a long time ago in a Batman the Animated Series backdrop, far, far away.
Yes.
And the Batmobile is driving. Yeah.
The reason why he's saying that is because it opens with, before the Batmobile is driving down the streets, it does a zoom out from space into an Earth, I would say. I think the intention is for it to be Earth, but the problem is they show a bare globe with a giant city sticking out from it like miles high. It looks like the end of Dark City, if you've ever seen that movie. Spoiler alert, they're actually in a city in space.
Yeah.
And that's just what this is. This is just like a city floating in the void. It's nonsense. So then we zoom down to Batman car. Go ahead.
So it's Batman car. We're in pseudo New York, I guess. Or Gotham? It's not really positive.
It looks like Gotham.
Let's say Gotham. So
yeah,
there's the Batmobile
MC
driving.
Escher, it's Escher Gotham.
Escher Gotham. The whole movie's fucking
it is
Escher.
why the physicality of this world makes no sense. Like oh man,
we can't even
every
talk about the
dimension is
opening
wild.
without being like so upset.
It's so weird. Everything is like twisted and strange, and like every shot is like uncomfortable and like at an odd angle. Like everything's angled weird. Like
this movie
like
actually gave me vertigo. Real talk.
It's like they decided to shoot an animated film in all Dutch angles. Which, like, what? You don't need to do that.
It's less Dutch angles and more Deutsch angles. But
Just
let's.
Deutsch.
Okay, so.
I unplugged my headphones just a second. You killed me. Oh my god.
Okay. So the Batmobile is driving through a backdrop of Batman the Animated Series in an Escher style, and it drives over the Brooklyn Bridge and drops off a mustachioed doggo, and then just leaves for no reason. So after we're introduced to Mustachio Dog, who we assume is the main character, then some bikers, of which one is a vulture, one is a monkey, and one is a granny, and there's like a cat, I think.
There was a dog, another dog. There was another dog.
There's a dog
and the
too.
Granny with a parrot hanging off of it.
It makes no sense, but they're driving down the bridge.
A bridge, just
and
a big
and they
bridge,
almost hit our Mustachio Dog, who's been dropped on this bridge. But thankfully, the dog gets out of the way of like 7 cars. Including the
constantly
bikers.
has this scene over and over and over where it's like, and like it's like dodging around cars, and it does it like 5 or 6 times. It does it a bunch of times for no reason.
So, our actual hero of the movie, Cheech, as a dog from Cheech and Chong, shows up high as fuck, just walking down the road, dodging cars without acting like he doesn't see them, but somehow getting out of the way at the last second.
And they kind of have him jump. Well, I just want to take a second here because like the animation is so weird and janky, and like they're so bad at setting up what's happening that the dog jumps, like it's got all these bones, and it jumps towards the edge and jumps like up on the rail,
right?
And it turns towards like the void off the edge of the bridge. And I looked at you and I said, like, is it jumping? Like, are they gonna have this dog?
Is the dog gonna commit suicide in the first 2 minutes
I thought that
of the
it was
movie?
like an actual. What? Yeah, I thought the entrance of it was like this dog jumping because like they're just so bad at establishing things. So he finds the other dog cowering in the road and grabs him, and then they jump off the bridge.
They do jump off the bridge.
Yeah, so they do ultimately do it, but it's to escape the cars kind of thing.
So after that, the parrot and the biker group come back the other direction, and this parrot who is just talking.
They only
non-stop.
bike on this one bridge.
Yeah, this parrot is just talking nonstop in like stereotypical like gringo Spanish. And,
really obnoxiously.
Just won't shut the fuck up. Not awful. Eventually falls off of the bike because the granny who's driving it in this biker gang is going too fast. So the parrot gets stuck under the bridge, and Cheech is talking with Mustache Dog under the bridge near a hobo fire about them being hungry or something.
Yeah, because he dropped his bones when he grabbed him off the bridge. Yeah, so apparently dogs eat bones. Not chew bones. They eat them. That's their meals. That is clearly established in this movie.
Have you ever watched an animated movie that talks down to its audience? Because I feel like this movie is doing that constantly.
Yeah. So they see the bird stuck underneath the bridge, and it's like, why doesn't it just fly away? And they kind of sort of establish that this bird for some reason can't fly. Like he's afraid of flying or something, or just bad at it. I don't know. And
they never actually resolved that, did they? Now I'm thinking,
no, not really. I mean, kind of. They keep addressing it, but I don't know that there's what you would consider a resolution. There's things happen around it. I don't think that there's an arc to it. It's more of a line.
Right.
There's a lot of lines. So they go and they're talking about how hungry they are. So then they're like, we're going to roast this bird. And the bird falls.
Because it's an owl? They think it's an owl?
Yeah, they think it's an owl.
That makes even less sense.
Stupidest thing. Yeah. So then they grab the bird and they go to roast it over their little fire. And then it's like, I have such a sad life. Blah, blah, and they end up crying and feeling bad for it. And they decide not to eat it. But like, it's really violent how they're talking about murdering it. And he's like choking the bird and stuff. And it's like, hello, kids. this is your main character, our hero, the murderer.
The
Like,
parrot.
it's real.
The parrot is literally in a hostage situation with our hero.
Yes.
So the parrot is
Yeah.
like, oh shit, I gotta get out of this. I'm part of a mansion with a lady who takes in animals, and they're great, and you can have steak, and rather than eat meat, you can have good food. So you should let me lead you there. Yeah. And the dogs buy it, and it's true.
And it's true, yes.
What?
And this happens to be true. Yep. Because apparently biker gang lady is also just this, like, billionaire that's in the middle of Central Park. So they established...
Well, she's not a
that she has
billionaire. She's a millionaire who owns a house
Bullshit.
in the middle of Central Park.
That, I was going to say, that house is on, like, 10 acres of wooded, gated land in the middle of New York City. She is worth more money than Bezos. She has, like, all of Central Park.
Yeah.
It's wild. They sit there and they sleep overnight or whatever, and then the bird's leading them to the house the next day, and he ducks into the...
There's that, but as the bird's leading them to the house, we're thankfully graced with the beautiful R&B music of Return of the Mac. It's the Return of the Mac. Once again, Return of the Mac. As these dogs are walking down the streets of New York City. For no fucking reason.
Yeah. The movie has a really good soundtrack, actually, and it's all original, right?
Yeah, it is all original, yeah.
It's all original, but none of it makes sense. None of it actually fits the scenes.
No.
Like, the music itself is composed well and sung really well. Like, the artists that did the music are great, but they don't match the scenes at all. Like, not even a little bit.
That's this whole movie. Everything is disjointed in this movie.
Everything is disjointed. So they go to this house, and then the bird slips into the house to run away from them, which
is
that
smart.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, lets them in anyways. And you're like, wait, what? Why? Why would you help these dogs that tried to kill you?
Look, we don't negotiate with terrorists, except for this fucking parrot.
this damn parrot who, like, helps its would-be murderers to go and get food. So it opens the doors for them and then immediately gets them steaks. And we're introduced to all of the different dogs in the house, kind of.
As well as the granny?
But it immediately, like, it's like, oh, here you go, you have steak. And this horrible, that's basically what the bird sounds like, by the way.
Well, it's even worse than that. It's like,
it might be worse.
It's so bad. I'm loud and annoying. Jesus Christ.
I can't wait for him to be in the whole movie.
Yeah, fucking right.
Oh, here you go, have steak. Anyway,
like that,
gives them the steak, and then immediately they suddenly are singing and dancing and
they're
like
friends.
playing instruments, and they're all friends instantly. And it's this song that it just doesn't match anything. It's just this song out of nowhere, and it's like, oh wait, what? We're singing now. Oh, okay.
It's like they walk in the door, commencing smooth jazz in 3, 2, 1, and then jazz music starts playing, and all the dogs join in.
Yeah, and it's just a jazz song, like, kind of. It's just weird.
So,
and
it's super. It's not that bad of a song. I actually like the song. I just don't know what the fuck is happening.
The song's fine. The song's more than okay. Like, all the songs are perfectly good, but it just matches the scene not in the slightest. And it doesn't make any sense why it's happening now. Like, it's a be our guest moment, but then that's the thing, is in, like, a Disney film, which this is obviously trying to, like, ape off of all those kinds of things, which is why it has these songs. Like, they basically were like, we have to have a song that's like a Disney film. So it's trying to be like a...
I want to say Oliver Twist, or what? Oliver and Company, I think. Oliver and Company came out probably before this, would be my guess.
Yeah,
trying to
this one and
emulate
All
that.
Dogs Go to Heaven came out before it. It kind of looks like both of those a little bit.
It's just like a little bit of both.
Yeah. So, like, but in a Disney film, Be Our Guest, it's in the title, right? It makes sense. It's like, oh, you're into the mansion. Be our guest. This is like, ooh, baby, smooth. And you're like, what the? Why is
dogs
that
gonna get down?
Well,
What's
we're
happening?
eating. Like, it's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why is that
Yeah.
the entrance music to them coming into this mansion and meeting their friends?
So
that's where it makes no sense.
There's a couple different dogs that we're introduced to, right? So there's Bella, which is essentially Jean Grey. in this
Yes.
House of Misfits. There's Diva, which is Cheeto colored for obvious reasons.
She's Cheeto colored, wearing like headphones that look exactly like Diva from Overwatch.
Yeah, there's
she totally sells her doggy bathwater online.
Oh my god! Well, she does later in the movie. It's obvious.
Oh yeah, no, she's actually in the bath.
Yeah, she's in the bath selling her bathwater to thirsty gamer.
Thirsty gamer dog.
So there's also like Basset Hound Jock Dog, I guess, or is it Bloodhound? I don't know. And those are the only three dogs, right? Because Space Dog came with us, or I guess Space Dog, which is also Mustache Dog.
Yeah, that's Chuffy, by the way.
Chuffy.
I actually remember the name of that dog. It was Chuffy.
So we have Jean Grey, Diva, Jock Dog, Chuffy, and Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
Which is Cheech and Chong, yeah.
So, which is like the best culmination of X-Men dogs I've ever seen.
It's real good. But it immediately blows it. So we get like establishing shots of the house of the bird trying to fly, but this is where, so the one redeeming quality I actually was realizing when I was asking earlier, is there any redeeming quality to this film? And I realized what it was. The background stuff looks good.
Yeah, it's great. Whoever they got for the background, like, art, it's like very well matte painted. There's super good watercolors. Everything looks good. I mean, it's all like curved for no reason. But outside of that, it looks like it's from a much better movie.
It almost looks like it's from, I hate to say this in the same breath. We talked about this earlier. I hate to say it in the same breath, but it looks like backgrounds from Batman the Animated Series.
It does.
A lot of it. And it looks beautiful. Like, that series, Batman the Animated Series, is a wonderful series. Really, really cool. But, like you said, you were explaining earlier, too, about the animation versus the backgrounds. The way that they do it is they put clear sheets over that have the animation on it, and they, like, show the motion through that, and the background is just a static image. And
you can tell this was hand animated. Like, you can tell they used that process. The reason you can tell is because it looks like none of the animations actually fit in the background.
Oh god, not at all. And the background, the animations in the forefront are often like, we have something where it's trying to do motion across the scene. Like, during the song and dance routine, when they first come into the house, the parrot is swinging across on like a chandelier. Yeah. But it shows it in literally 2 frames. Like, I slowed it down, I looked at it, and it's like 2 frames, and it just clips out. So there's not enough frames to actually get the idea of motion, and it just disappears. So they constantly do like shortcuts like that, which just make it look janky and awful. And the backgrounds look good, but when they establish the shot of the house, what they suddenly do is they take the camera and they just swing it wildly all over the place. They're like doing 360s and like Christ stares. Like, I don't know what the hell they were doing. Like, they could just take the shot of the house and zoom in on it, but instead they're doing all of these like weird swoops and dives and cuts, and it's like, what is going on? So, well, the kind of set up.
There is one thing the movie gets right, though. As the parrot is sort of learning to fly with these fake wings and jumping off,
I know what you're
we understand that at the same time there's this like eagle cop that is just being a total dick and making fun of them. So the movie gets right that cops are dicks.
Yeah,
they did it. They established
that
cops are assholes. It's perfect.
It does it really well. Yeah, the cops just making fun of him the whole time for trying to fly.
Good call.
And
yeah,
they have this little scene of him trying to fly, so they're kind of.
I can't believe an American symbol cop is trying to talk down to minorities. Like, holy shit.
Ooh, oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. You didn't think about it in that angle, did you?
I mean, we'll talk about how they portray minorities in this film in a little while. Don't you worry. God. Because
well, we're also like, after this, there's not minorities yet, but we are introduced to the twins.
No. We are introduced to the twins.
Whatever the fuck the twins are.
Yeah, it cuts from that. This is why I think we're in Dark City universe, because it goes from them teaching this bird to fly, and then they go, oh no, the twins are showing up, and you're like, what? And then this car pulls up, and it is 2 humanoid-esque figures. They are not human. There is no possible way these things are human.
It's more like
this
an
is
inflatable...
if the Joker...
Yeah, they look like an inflatable clown, like the one that you bop and it rolls back.
This is the Joker's love child with an Oompa Loompa. They're purple with green eyes and Joker faces. It is incredibly wild. And that's not even half of it. Like, the woman's spine is a crescent.
She's...
Like, her butt reaches almost her shoulders.
She's like a kidney bean with a huge ass and sagging boobs.
And, like, really obvious sagging boobs. It is uncomfortable. It is super uncomfortable. Like, and they give, like, jiggle physics to it.
Oh, they do.
It's like, they really emphasize all of this. I want to take a brief note here. I just need an aside. If you ever are thinking of animated in a movie or you want to draw animation, you don't need to make everything ugly. Not everything needs to look ugly, because they make everybody in this film look like horrible, deformed monsters. Everyone looks ugly. Like, the granny also doesn't look good either. She has these horrible, sagging eyes and, like, this pear body. Nothing looks human. They're all terrifying. So these monster children walk into the house, and they immediately go... Oh, you need to go to a home, and they talk like that.
Because they're trying to get the granny to
go to an old folks.
Well,
home.
Technically, they're her niece and nephew, so I guess it would be aunt.
Their aunt, yeah. They're trying to get their aunt to go into this old folks home. So they just
get rid of
reach
her.
it like that. Like that's all they do. They go inside and they immediately just like. They walk in the door and they go, "Oh, we found an old folks home for you." And then she goes,
out of nowhere.
But will they take care of my pets? And they go,
we'll take care of
no, but
pets.
we'll take care of them. And then they immediately turn to each other in front of her and go, no, we won't. And it's like, she's right. She's in the room. Like, it's no transition at all. And it's like, okay.
And then the dogs get rid of them by throwing a ball at the nephew's nuts, which they focus on for like 30 seconds about this nut shot.
Oh, it's more than that. It is more than that. They do multiple cuts back and forth. Like they have a few scenes of other people talking. Yeah, they have a few scenes of other, like the dogs like talking to each other, and you still hear in the background this like of the guy, and then it'll like randomly cut back to him like slowly leaving the room holding his nuts. It's amazing. Yeah. This whole time, so like he's just like walking out from this horrible nut shot the dog gives him, and in somewhere in there is also, like I said, the way that they portray people of color.
It's bad.
Boy, because I very honestly, like I said, I'm like, I don't know how to broach this without me sounding racist or making this movie racist, because it's wild. Because I still don't know if it's supposed to be a person. I think that it ultimately is.
I think it has to be.
I think it is.
Okay, so they essentially draw like... Yosemite Sam, huge mustache, but he's a black guy, and they made him look like a Muppet for some reason. And I don't know why.
He looks exactly like the monkey that they drew on the bikes earlier. Like, I hate to say it that way. I hate to put it that way. But he does. He really does. He's got the same, like, gangly limbs and, like, these, like, weird hands. And it's really bad.
And it's just, really hard to tell if it's played straight, too. So, like, it's not obvious if it's supposed to be a joke or if it's a human being.
But, like, nobody looks human. No one looks human. Yeah. So it's not, I don't think the show's trying to be racist or something, because just no one looks right. Everybody looks like a horrible, hideous monster. They just decided to make this guy look really,
I don't even remember why they introduced the character at that time, to be honest.
No, well, he just comes in and he goes, "Oh, the twins are here." And so
then leaves?
He just randomly shows up. Yeah, and then just leaves.
All right. Well, after that, Lily, who is the aunt, I guess, is then talking to all the dogs at night and reading them a story. Mm-hmm. And then she falls asleep. All the dogs fall asleep. And in the morning, Cheech wakes up and is like, something's wrong. And it's because Lily, the aunt, has passed away in her sleep, which is incredibly depressing and sad.
Yeah, and it's played very, very fast. So you actually took a 5-10 second break here.
Yeah, I left.
And in that 5 or 10 seconds... everything happened. So you missed a little bit of this. It's incredible. Yeah. She dies, and then all the dogs gather around her, And then it just cuts to the piano playing itself, like, you know, like those player pianos. It cuts to that, and with like dramatic lighting on it, and then it cuts to rain in puddles, and then it cuts back to them shoving instruments away, like from the night before, where
they're not going to be playing jazz anymore.
I guess. So it like has the dog shoving instruments away, and then it cuts back to the puddle and rain, and then it cuts to them walking through the rain, and it looks like they're in suits, and like the guy, the weird Muppet guy, is there in a suit. So like the friend that said the twins are here.
I guess.
And then it cuts back to the puddle in the rain, and then it cuts back to the piano playing itself, and then it cuts to the instruments being shoved away again, and then it cuts to them burying her coffin, and then it cuts back to instruments being cut away, and it does that like, it just cuts like that over and over and over and over, like rapid fire.
Hold on. There is no way that happened in the 10 seconds I left. There is no way.
Yes, I swear to God. No joke. Absolutely that happened.
That is ridiculous.
It cuts to the instruments no less than 6 times, and the piano playing itself 4 or 5. And it's just back and forth between funeral scenes, puddle and rain, instruments, coffin, them walking in a parade, and then suddenly, and I'm like, is this actually the funeral? Like, I don't even know. What is happening? It's like the Willy Wonka, like, nightmare scene, the LSD tunnel.
Yeah.
It's like that. But it's her funeral. Just like, I don't get it. I don't get any of it. It's so wild.
After the funeral, the dogs are all sitting in the house sad, and they're hungry. They don't have any food because their owner has died. So Cheech goes out to a graveyard, digs up a bunch of human bodies, and brings back some like femurs and
he just
clavicles.
So in the film, this makes no sense, and there's no reason for this to be in the film. It just has them all laying around the house, and then he goes to the fridge is empty, and he goes, we're all so hungry, and then they're like, yeah, we're starving, oh no, what will we do? And he suddenly like goes to the garage, steals her motorbike.
Oh yeah, because he steals the motorcycle,
Yeah, and then they're like, he left us, we're gonna starve to death, and then like, it cuts to him coming back with all these bags full of bones that look like human remains. And then they're like, we're saved, we're alive.
Yeah.
And then it just ends. That's that scene. And it has no bearing on anything else in the plot. It's just there as a one of, the dogs are starving, and then they're fine. He goes to a grocery store graveyard, I guess, and just robs it, and they all have bones, and they're fine.
Yeah.
That's all that it does. That scene made no sense.
That's
any
the only
other
explanation, right? There's no other way you get like 5 grocery bags of bones
full of human remains. Full of remains.
There's no explanation. So after that, the twins are talking to themselves, saying, "Hey, we're finally at the house." The Muppet Sheriff.
Because the guy
I feel so bad calling him Muppet Sheriff, but it's literally a Muppet Sheriff.
It's Muppet Sheriff. Yes.
He shows back up and decides to read the will to both the dogs and the twins, because we need to determine who is going to get the estate and the fortune of Aunt Lily. And of course, they give it to the dogs because those twins are fucking creepy as shit, and I think this is totally fair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, it's super, super fair for him to just not give it to them.
Yeah.
I mean, and you might question, how would dogs own property? Well, I question how these people could own property, because they're not people. They're very clearly not human. I don't know what they are, but man, check the Twitter afterwards at Rough Cuts Cast, because we will show images of these people. They are not human. It is incredible, the animation on them. It is wild. It's the whole reason why I picked this film. We were talking about the films that we could watch, and you showed me an image from this, and I went, this one absolutely has to be this one. I had to know. I had to know why this was a thing.
Right?
I regret it so much. There's so little redeeming in this film.
All right, so the twins take off in the Batmobile, flying through the air, like literally flying through the air.
Yes.
And now we need to go through a little bit of the mansion and sort of explain the dogs and what they're doing and why they're there. So we have Diva.
I need one half second here just to mention one thing. So like when we say that they're flying through the air, it is literal, but also just like kind of the whole funeral scene as well. Like that happens a lot. where it's just a lot of random shots that make no sense inside of another scene, because they're just driving down, flying through the air, and it's all this weird MC Escher style highway. But then they have like random shots of bridge arches with like close-ups and no cars or anything in them, and like just interspersed for no reason. So there's a lot of that where there's just like random shots of things that just don't make sense, that are disjointed. So every time that we talk about there being a scene of them walking away or something like that, there is always at least 5 different weird cuts that are to something that makes no sense. It's like they're walking down the street and then cut to somebody playing jazz music, and then cut to them walking back down the street, and then cut to like kids buying ice cream, cut to them on the street, and you're like, why are we cutting to these things? They make no sense in this movie. I just have to point that out because I don't want to bring it up every single time. Just assume any time that we talk about this film, there are random scenes of things that make no sense interspersed throughout it. Like somebody scrambled all of the different animation strips and then just were like, we'll just slot these in somewhere. I don't know. So yeah, then they go around the house and introduce all of the dogs.
So Diva's doing weed and whippets in the basement.
Yes. And Cheech doesn't join her.
No, Cheech doesn't. What?
I know, he gets offended.
Come on, Cheech.
She's like got this cloud all around her. It's supposed to be hairspray, I think.
No, I think it's whippets.
Very much.
It's very much whippets. Are you kidding me?
What is with dog movies and whippets? Because we have the same thing in Cop Dog. Oh, God. I mean, there is a whippet dog, so maybe that's what they're going for.
So all the different dogs have a different area of the house. Diva's doing whippets in the basement. Jean Grey is a circus dog and has an entire room of her signing autographs for herself, I guess. Yeah. Jock Dog's doing Jock's shit. Mustachio Dog is like in a room full of space stuff because he wants to go to space. Like, okay, we need to talk about this dog. This dog wants to be like Laika, and I don't think anybody told this dog what the fuck happened to Laika. Because
they mentioned Laika by name. They mentioned Laika by name. If you don't know what Laika was the dog the Soviets sent to space.
To die. So they could
yes!
So they could test out how people breathe in space. Yes.
Yeah, there's no return mechanism. They just tested how dogs die in space. And he's like, I can't wait to be like Laika. And it's like, does anybody want to break the news here? Like, maybe we need to talk this dog off the ledge, guys. No, that's never addressed. I'm like, I just can't wait. Oh man, can you imagine being a parent, having your child watch this movie, and the dog's like, I want to be like Laika. And they're like, what's Laika, Mom and Dad? I want to look up the space dog on Google. And it's like, I went to space. Sure, yep. Big hero dog went to space.
The twins at this point are obviously upset because how can dogs own property? And I have to actually be very mad at this movie because now I am a person who is currently okay and on the same side as these fucking awful beings and be like, why do these dogs own property? This shouldn't exist. What? That shouldn't be a thing.
And we need to establish here that when we have her, like, Diva Girl, I love that the Diva Dog is doing whippets in the basement.
Yeah, she's doing whippets and selling
It's so on
water.
brand.
It's so
on brand for the gamer dog.
Yeah.
But, so she's, like, doing whippets and Dorito in the basement. But what they do when they establish all of this, too, is, like, she's sitting down there looking at, like, Vogue magazines and listening to CDs and all this stuff. And it's really self-centered. And then same with
every
Bella,
dog is a self-centered piece of shit.
Exactly. Bella, the circus dog, is, like, signing her own portraits. She's got stacks and stacks of them. And she's like, all of my fans around the world will love it. And he's like, you don't even have fans. And she's like, I will. Like, they're all horrible, horrible monsters. It establishes that very firmly. Like, it really makes you hate these dogs that are supposed to be the main characters. I don't get why they go so far for it. Because not only are you on the side of the twins, even though they're horrible monsters, as far as, like, dog ownership goes, you're on their side, period. Because they're the better characters in this film. They're awful. They want to kill their aunt or stick her in a home so they can take her money.
Yes.
And they're the more likable characters.
They're the more morally correct characters.
Yes.
How does this happen? Okay.
It's awful.
So the
like,
twins...
the dog is a murderer. Like, Cheech Dog is a horrible murderer who just wants to kill the parrot all the time to eat him and wants to leave them all all the time. They're always worried that he's just going to abandon them because he's such a jerk.
Which he does.
I know he does over and over. It's so bad. I hate it.
So the twins are understandably upset about this ruling in the will. So they go to the library to look up Bob Loblaw's dog logs. so that they can find the dog law that says
that's
that
the
they
line
can have
delivery. That is the line delivery. They walk into a giant rotunda, like this huge domed area that is wall-to-wall books, like a giant library like they show in like a Beauty and the Beast or something like that, like this giant...
Like in a much better animated film, you'd be impressed, but it's not. It's not impressive.
And they go, oh, this is the wing of dog law! And
dog law!
That's the line delivery. They walk in the room and they immediately just start screaming dog law in these horrible nasal voices at the top of their lungs. The dog law!
So they're researching the dog law, and they eventually, after a whole day of pulling every book off the shelf, find a law which technically says that if the dogs abandon the property for 48 hours, then it goes to their nearest relative, which would be the twins. So, technically speaking, all they have to do is get them to leave the house for 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's the rest of the plot, right? That's what they're trying to do?
That's the rest of the plot, yeah. Then they go immediately to Dr. Quack. And
a real duck.
A real duck. Now, before this, it has been kind of established, at least in my mind, it felt like the dogs talk to each other, but the humans don't necessarily, like, understand the dogs.
I assume there was not communication, yes.
Yeah, they kind of talk to the dogs, but it's done in that way where it's like, oh, the humans say hi to the dogs, and the dogs don't really talk in the same scenes as the people do. They do, like, growls and barks and things in the human scenes, and then when the dogs are together, they talk, which, okay, sure, that makes sense. All of a sudden, they go to Dr. Quack, who is an actual duck and speaks English.
Yes.
And it's just, what? Like, what? And he lives in this giant anime lab. Like, it's just this huge facility that's just full of all of these computers and dials. And it's... Again, the backgrounds are really detailed and interesting, and then the animation is so garbage.
You say it's a facility. Let's be clear. It's an anime facility.
Yes.
It's not just any facility. This is like an anime lab that happens if like a robot came blasting through that door and started shooting at scientists. That would have fit right in with this facility.
Oh yeah, no, I desperately wanted Dr. Quack to make him a Gundam to fight
like
the
a
dogs.
fucking Gundam.
I just wanted him to make a Gundam and fight the dogs.
They're just in a giant Jaeger going through the streets like...
We will acquire our property!
Oh my god, that would have been so much better than what happened. Oh god.
Yes. So they talk to Dr. Quack, who apparently can, like, he's like dog psychologist?
I guess.
And that was the establishment, is what they kind of went for. And he can therefore, like, do profiles on them and figure out their deepest
So he's getting a profile of each dog, so he can get what they like the most, so he can then encourage them to leave the house using that knowledge. And he wants photos of them at the same time, so that you can get a photo of them in the act of whatever they're doing.
Well, which was great because, no. He specifically said at one point, because, so they take photos of all the dogs and they come back, but then they...
With the flash on.
Which will, yeah, they do flash shots the whole time while they're trying to spy on them, which is incredible. But I just wanted to mention that when they come back, they didn't get a picture of JD, and he goes, but I need a picture of his head. Otherwise, how will I know him? And I'm like, he's a phrenologist. Yeah. They made him a phrenologist.
And then he's like, slams the desk. He's like, get me pictures of Spider-Man.
Give me pictures of JD.
God damn it. And JD, by the way, is Cheech.
Yes.
Because we didn't call him JD at all, because he's very obviously Cheech.
Yeah, so they take photos of all the dogs, and they're all doing... Again, it establishes for, like, the third time that all of these dogs are horrible, self-centered jerks.
They're awful.
As they're all going around doing awful things to each other and fighting and hating each other and being super self-centered. And he's taking photos of all of them. They're taking photos of all of them. And they come back to him and they give him all the photos. And he goes, oh, like, the diva dog likes these things. She likes Whippits and Cheetos in the bathroom.
so he gets some Mountain Dew, some Whippits, and Cheetos.
Yes. And he's putting it up on these screens and talking about each one of them, except that nothing shows up on any of the screens.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be animations there. And the reason why we know there's supposed to be animations there is because on the last one, he goes emo, which is the bird.
The parrot, yeah.
The parrot. They have it doing the stuff. Like, they have a photo of the parrot, and he's talking about it, and it's doing an animation. And I'm like you said, they just missed the animations on all the other TVs. Like, it's
they just forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes screen to screen and, like, talks about them, and they have a printout on each of them, but they just left the animation out. And this is almost a good segue for us to talk again about something that we haven't really mentioned, which is that throughout this whole thing, again, we kind of went at it abstractly, where, like, there's missing frames of animation where it just like looks really jerky, but like the colors are different in almost every scene. Like, it will, in the same scene, it'll have someone turn slightly to the side, and when they do that, every color of their outfit and their eyes change, or like the colors just go missing and fade into the background, or like they clip into things. Like, none of the animation makes any sense.
So this used to happen
so badly.
This used to happen a lot in television animation back in the 80s. Like, if you watch an old episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there were constantly, flubs like this where they would show the wrong turtle, or the headband would be the wrong color, or they'd be missing an arm, or something ridiculous.
Yes.
And the reason that happened is because the animation cycle was so fast that they had to get the animation out for the next episode without any sort of time for quality control. Now, this is a full fucking movie, though.
Yes.
They should have been able to deal with that.
It's so bad, and it's way worse than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was. Like, it's a lot worse than that. You can see little bits of that in the, like, turtle stuff if you look close, but it's not always super obvious. This one's jarring all the time.
Right.
Everybody looks different scene to scene. And so, yeah, they missed the animation.
After all that, though, JD, a.k.a. Cheech, gets fed up with all the dogs being self-centered pricks.
Which is fair.
And leaves on his motorcycle to go live on his own, because fuck all these dogs. And as he's going away, the twins drive up in the Batmobile, take a picture of him, and then there's like a bunch of limousines that show up as the dogs are running out to be like, oh no, Cheech left. We gotta go get him back. And they're immediately distracted by these limousines as Dr. Quack comes out and is like, hey, I'm here from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we're going to make your wildest dreams come true because you're rich.
Yep. Or and they immediately go, we could rescue our friend, but nah, fuck that. I want to go and do these things. Yes. Again, establishing what incredible dicks these dogs are. Like, they're all awful. They're looking for their friend who ran away from them because they're so bad. And immediately they just like, ooh, but we could go on vacation.
Yeah.
And they just choose vacation. They just, like, 5 seconds. They don't make it past the first street. This pulls up in their driveway, and they can't be bothered to go further than that to look for him. They're like, well, guess he's gone. Let's just go off on these vacations.
To be fair, Diva was doing Whippits right before she walked out, so you can't really blame her.
Well, she's going to do Whippits in a minute.
You can't really blame her.
We're joking about the Whippits, but the next thing isn't a joke. They go in the cars,
it's fucking
and
awful.
They start eating chocolates, and the parrot eats the chocolate first.
Yeah, they put like acid in it or something.
Yeah, it cuts to this thing where he's in the clouds, and it's like this little montage, and I'm like, oh, it's like him imagining that he's gonna, like, what this vacation will be like. No, children. No. They firmly establish that actually all of the chocolates are heavily drugged to bring them into their worst nightmares. They take what they liked or what they were working on, like what's about their thing, so like the bird wants to fly, and they turn it into horrible nightmares in these acid trips. Literal acid trips. They drug the dogs, and it's awful. It's so bad.
And then it goes through every individual dog having their acid trip. Which we don't really need to get into detail because they're kind of fucked up.
they go really
and there's a
really bad at this.
But after the acid trip is done, I guess what's her name? Belle?
I'm gonna very obliquely mention, like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's actually really disturbing. I just want to say that there is a dogfight arena that they go into extremely graphic detail on.
Yeah, it's gross.
Like, they make it very clear that there are deaths. It's not good. So yeah, they do a lot of that. That's where the jock dog goes. Is he goes to a dog fighting arena, and it's not okay.
So
there's
Belle,
a lot of uncomfortable
aka
stuff.
Jean Grey dog, is locked up in some metal brown room. And is being
she's
told by
locked up in,
another
like,
dog
all-
that she's
yeah,
going
all
to be
this
sold to a
steel
coat
room.
factory, which is awful.
That's not, and like I said, that's not the worst one. Like, it's this horrible scene of her in this steel cell, like, it kind of looks some submarine-y or something, like, kind of like that, but, like, all these, like, steel bolted doors. And then he's like, oh, there's a fur factory, honey. They're gonna skin you alive. And, like, they get into all this gruesome detail
you're
about
gonna
it.
fucking die, dog. Like,
And
okay,
that's not even
Jesus.
That's not even close to the worst one.
No.
Not even close.
They drop Diva off in an alley, and apparently they take fucking Mustache Dog to the Kennedy Space Center. I don't know what the hell's up with that.
I love that. Okay, so all of the other animals all go on, like, the twisted, horrible versions of what they wanted. Like, they basically go to the opposite of what they wanted. Like, the one dog craves fame, like being the circus dog, and so they put her in, like, this dark hole.
Yeah.
And she's gonna be made into fur. And then, like, they have...
And, like, I kind of get where
the
they're
jock
going,
dog,
I guess.
The jock dog stuff gets twisted into, like, oh, he's so athletic, well, then he's gonna fight, right? Like, that kind of thing.
And
But, like,
Diva wants to do Whippits in an alley, so we'll just give her a wish. And the bird wants to fly, so we're gonna drop him out of a helicopter. Sure.
They drop him out of a helicopter. But I love that the space dog, his thing is so awful already that they're just like, make his wish
just
come
let
true.
him go die
Let's
in
just
space, it's
actually
fine,
make him be
whatever.
a space dog, because that is a terrible thing. It's great.
Jesus.
Oh, so yeah, they're all in nightmare realms.
That doesn't really matter at that point.
No.
What matters is the parrot eventually gets away. The details don't matter. Let's just move along.
He tells
He tells Cheech about the dogs getting caught and in various
Finds
locations.
Cheech, yep.
So Cheech gets on his motorcycle and immediately comes blasting through an elevator on the other side, somehow into the anime
Dr. Quack's
lab
office. Yeah,
of
he
Dr.
bursts
Quack.
through the doors.
Yeah.
Instantly. Like, it's just,
Like,
it
what?
goes from, like, the parrot finds Cheech, and he goes, oh, Cheech, they stole all of our friends. And he goes, we need to go to an office. And he goes, okay. And then it's cut to elevator, and he's smashing through the door. And you're like, whoa,
what?
okay, I
Holy
guess
shit.
they just found him. Everybody knows where Dr. Quack is, I guess.
Yeah, so he's going in
this
circles
is one of the
with Dr.
worst
Quack
animation
around a chair,
scenes.
where Dr. Quack is clipping through the chair because the animation layers aren't correct. And then he catches Dr. Quack and starts choking him to death because that's our hero.
That's our hero committing horrible violence.
To have
threatening
Quack
to
tell
kill
him where
him
his
and-
friends are. But not his friends, just the one girl dog he likes. He doesn't really care about the other one.
Yeah, he very specifically is like, oh no, even Bella? Like, he doesn't give a shit
No, he
about
doesn't give a
anybody
fuck
else.
like,
he
our main
only
character-
cares about the one dog that he wants to have, like, doggy sex with.
Yeah, he's just as bad as the other fucking dogs.
Oh yeah, no, he's worse. He's so much worse, because he actually leaves them all.
Well,
he leaves them all, too, and he tries to murder everybody.
Yeah,
At least all
he
the other
does.
ones don't murder everybody. He's in constant murder mode.
Eventually, all the dogs get saved, which is not really worth talking about. But
No.
the dogs get saved. They're all sitting underneath the bridge at the beginning.
It's also
where
done really fast. Like,
it's fucking
like,
fast and
it just-
awful.
Just
Yeah.
like clip, clip, clip. Like you go basically.
Oh,
it's like
shit, we gotta
one
get
to
the
next,
dogs.
one to the
All
next,
right,
one to the
dog,
next, one to
dog,
the
dog,
next.
dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dog, all in a row, just very, very fast. Like instantly
So-
they go like, oh, this one's here, this one's there, this one's there, and boop, there you
After
go.
this, we're finally introduced to what the whole point of the movie is, which is that it's to teach us morals about friendship.
Your friends, these people are not worth having as your friends. They are all awful monsters. If you need to have children, here's the morals. If your friends are awful monsters that only care about themselves, don't have them be your friends.
Like, we were already upset at this movie, but at this point, we just actively said, fuck this.
That's when we took a break. Yeah,
Yeah, we're like, fuck this,
yeah.
I'm leaving. And we left for like 10 minutes or something
10,
and came
20
back.
minutes.
Yeah, Jesus. So after the moral bullshit, we need to still resolve that the twins are now currently in the mansion and trying to keep the dogs out for 2 days. So that's the rest of the movie. So the dogs make it back to the mansion with like, I don't know, 6 hours of the night left or something. And it's locked. So
they've boarded up all. So the twins
Yeah.
have. I just want to mention the twins have not only locked everything. They want this mansion, and like, let's establish too. Like, this doesn't make sense. So they want 48 hours for the dogs to abandon the property.
Yes.
Means they get the property. They don't get the money.
Correct.
They just get the property.
But it has to be worth
And they
billions.
destroy the property to keep the dogs out. Like, they break all the windows and board them up. Like, they just destroy this house. They absolutely destroy it. They board everything up. They lock it all down. Like, it's like a zombie apocalypse. You mentioned that at one point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is this going to become a zombie
It looked
film?
like a spooky horror movie for a second.
It looks like a spooky horror movie because they smash all the windows and board them all up, and it's like, you want a house that sucks this much? Like, why would you destroy this house if you
Well,
want
to be
it?
fair, the land itself has to be worth billions.
Oh,
It's in the middle of Central
New
Park.
York. Yes, yeah, it's all of Central Park. That's the
Yeah,
whole house.
yeah.
They've just gated Central Park.
So the dogs need to break into the house because it's been locked up. In order to do so, they fucking murder the parrot by by grabbing it
Yes!
and literally throwing it at a fast-pitched speed at the roof of the building. And then they're like, "Oh shit, we killed our friend. Now how are we gonna get in the house?"
You're not joking. People will think you're joking about this, but it's not a joke.
No.
The whole thing is they go, "Can you fly?" And he goes, "No, I still haven't learned to fly." And they go, "Well, we're just gonna try it anyways." And he's like, "No, you can't do this to me." And they grab him.
Yeah, they
the
fucking kill
big,
him.
like, jock dog throws him non-consensually, like, up over this house. And they go, "Oh no, he's dead." And then they go, "Now how will we get in?" Like, none of them
Yeah,
are sad that
shit.
he's dead. They're just mad that they can't get inside and get back their
Oh my
money.
God.
These awful monsters.
You can fly. What? Me? Sure I can fly, but only down. Sherman, are you
Bird
smart
has a
enough
point.
to throw Emo onto the roof? Shall I try?
Do you want to throw this bird?
No, wait. What happens to me if
God,
I
our
says- Just
our heroes
do
are
it.
assholes.
Oh, no.
Seriously.
Just do it.
Seriously.
There's a thing called consent, guys.
You killed. Poor little bird.
You fucking murdered the bird.
Master. So, the twins have won.
Oh no, he's dead. Shucks. Now we'll never get the house back.
Where did this come from? Wow.
Fuck it, they didn't even care. They're so
But
bad.
he's actually okay, and he
Somehow,
lowers down a
fuck.
basket. Yeah.
We were saying
I
like
wish that they'd killed him. I wish. There's a couple times
if
where
they
I'm
just
like,
cut
I wish
the
the
credits,
would roll.
if they just
I
cut the
wish-
credits right there, that would have
Yes.
been perfect.
It
Ah,
was
fuck,
so
we
much
killed the
better.
parrot. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. End scene. So, no, unfortunately, we're not graced with that yet. We still have to do another, 20 minutes of film. So, they lower down a basket and get all the dogs to go into the attic. And then they kind of have, a spooky attic thing where it's like, oh, it's a secret area into the
Yeah.
house. And they go down through the house, and
They find a
twins are
stone.
sleeping in the same room. And
Yeah, that
stuff,
whole
and,
scene, every scene with the twins in the bedroom is disgusting.
creepy and
So
weird.
the
and
dogs
gross,
are in the
yeah.
attic. They find a bust of Lily, which is swinging on a chair that's attached to the attic roof.
And it's
fucking creepy
really
as shit.
creepy.
And-
the dog, it spooks the dogs too,
Yeah,
and they're like,
I'm like,
"Oh my
ugh.
god, it's Lily!" And they're like, "No, it's just a bust of her."
And then they find a lion mask, and they're like, which is in the circus stuff, which makes a little bit of sense because Bella is a circus dog, and I guess it would have been
Yes.
from her shit. I don't
Yeah.
know. So they come up with the idea of oh, we'll just scare the twins away and then take the house back, which I guess is fair. So
Yep,
they
kinda
start
works.
trying to scare them. They get them out of the bedroom. They eventually get them down to the front foyer of the mansion, and
Yeah.
and then disco lights turn on, and
yes, the
the
lady
corpse
has a
of,
rave set up.
yes,
in her
there's a
living
rave
room.
disco, and then the corpse of Lily drops from the ceiling.
Oh, it's so bad.
It starts
so
telling them,
bad.
"Get out of my house! You've been hurting both my family and my dogs."
So there's this very obvious rope wrapped around
Yeah.
her neck. It looks like she's a corpse being hung.
Ugh.
It's awful. It's really grotesque because they
Yeah.
do this job of making her look like she's all corpsey, and
It's bad.
it's still the same shape as what she would be as a person, not They don't do it ghost-like. They do it like she's like the same animation style as when she was alive. Yeah, and so then they swinging her around, and then her breasts pop out, which were like two
three
balls.
of them.
Yeah, well, I was gonna get to that. We had two breasts pop out, and it looks like there's nipples drawn on them,
Yes,
which is
there
really
are. There
weird.
are.
It's really disconcerting. Because the dogs thought that they needed to draw nipples on her breasts that are inside her dress.
Yeah.
It's really awkward and gross. And they fall out and roll across the floor. And then the twins are like, hey, wait, that's not like a real thing. And they look at it and they go closer. And then a third breast drops out.
A third one? Just like, why is there a third one?
It's so
Fucking
banging
why?
my desk. It's so they total recalled Lily.
and then there's a hard cut from a scene that got cut from the English release where the twins grab a hairspray and lighter and just torch the dog that's in the lion suit. And they cut it because it's too violent for American cinema for children.
Which
I want to point out, this movie
like...
is rated U for Universal, which is the same as our E rating.
Yes. Which I would like to know how on earth
they so
cut
violent.
that. How did they cut that scene? Like, how bad was that scene that it had
to be awful.
And they kept the fight gladiatorial things. Because, like, I don't want to go into that. That was disgusting.
And then
there was some stuff in that.
Well, after that, we go back to the twins who are now burnt, but we don't know why, because they cut the scene. And they're both holding broken bottles at the dogs.
Yes.
like fucking shivs.
Oh. Yeah.
And then one of the dogs puts like shaving cream or cream on his mouth to act like a mad dog, and chases them out. So after he chases them out, the twins are like, "Oh, duh, we'll just trick the dogs to leave." They trick them into leaving out the gate, close the gate behind them, and then lock it again. And they're like, "Well, we did it."
Hold up.
Yeah.
You are calling this a trick. This is not a trick. What they do is they stand up. She goes, "Oh wait, it's just whipped cream." They run towards the gate.
It's just whipped cream, yes.
And they run towards the gate. The dogs chase after them, and then they open the gates. The dogs run out and they close the gates. And
the dogs are just dumb.
That's all they do.
No.
Like, there's no trick. That's not a trick. That's just the stupidest dogs in existence. It's just the stupidest thing.
The twins are also fucking stupid because they run back into the mansion, jump into a lunar lander. Because
the one space dog is still there.
I guess. And then he starts the lunar lander from his anime computer. It flies up, pops a hole in the mansion, which, I don't even want to imagine the cost to repair. It flies out into the street, and then the twins fall out and be like, "We won! It's daytime! We're in the street, and we have the road, and shit."
Yes.
And then they're like, fuck you dogs. That's not what the law says. We got the house anyway. And then Muppet Sheriff and the cops show up from fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And the Muppets,
it's the dogs.
The Muppets Sheriff like, I'm sorry, they're in the house, which means they were here for at least some of the 48 hours. And did somebody tell him? Well, how does he know? What happened?
They could have actually made this make sense. What they needed to do is they needed to have, like, Muppet Sheriff lawyer guy be there the whole time and be like, "Oh, but you've got to stay in the house.
Yeah, there's no setup.
For 48 hours, then they'll own the house. So be careful, doggies." And then, like, come by, like, establish, like, that he keeps stopping by and being like, "No, none of the dogs are home. This is weird." And then, like, have him looking at a watch and being like, "Oh, no, they've only got an hour left before they have to be back in the house." Like, they could have done that to establish it and have some stakes and tension. No. There's none of that. There's just, like, they just say, "Oh, we're going to be there for 48 hours."
No, instead they give the house back to these drug-addicted dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Every single dog in this fucking house is just a fucking drug addict. It's true.
Whippets and eating like drugged chocolate.
Yes,
they're like all. It's everything about it.
So the dogs get the mansion back. They open up an orphanage for all animals. They find a really cute kitten, which is like the only well-drawn animal in the whole fucking movie. And then
It's the
for
only
some
thing that's
reason,
not drawn to look like an evil monster.
And then,
everything
like-
in this film looks awful except for it.
and then one frame later, there's just a circus elephant in the middle of the street for no reason that
Yes.
follows them in with a kangaroo and a bunch of other random shit that makes no sense.
Monkey, yeah, like the boxing kangaroo, and then the monkeys from like the
I guess the
motorcycle
gang joins in. What the fuck was the point of the
Yes.
gang? And then
I don't know.
And then the credits start with the "This Must Be Love" song because now I guess
They all love
Cheech
each
and Jean
other.
Grey love each other, and all the animals love each other. And then the credits end, but the fucking song keeps going for like a minute.
Yes, the credits end and it goes to black. There's literally nothing on the screen, and the song just keeps going for like a minute and a half.
Like they
and
didn't time the credits properly.
No,
Fucking Christ.
they didn't time the credits, and they just left it in. Like they could have just cut the song.
Oh
too,
my
but
God. Or
no,
had
no,
it fade out
We
or
paid for
something.
this song. Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like they could have cut the song short and just faded
Okay,
it out.
so
but no,
I'm trying real hard to just end this movie because god damn it, I want to end this movie.
That's fair.
That is Millionaire Dogs. I stand by my tweet. I want Germany to fucking apologize for this movie. I don't want the animation studio that made this. I want the country of Germany to apologize personally to me for making me sit through this garbage.
I agree. Of the crimes that Germany has done, this is one of the worst. It's
God
really bad.
fucking damn
It's
it.
up there. It's up there. Oh.
All right. We are
So
rough
should
cuts.
we rate? Hey,
Yes.
should we rate the dogs?
We have to rate the dogs. It's rough cuts. I feel fucking awful.
I think that we should have just ended with the hell no that we normally do for the movie because fuck these dogs. I hate to say that, but fuck all these dogs.
I will rate the dog. I will be the person who is brave enough to say something that is so controversial yet so brave to rate these dogs.
Go ahead.
I will give them a 1 out of 10.
There's no way. I'm giving them negatives. They all get Fs. They get F minuses. I hate these dogs. I hate everything about them. They're all awful. They're all terrible. I really can't overstate how bad these dogs are. These are bad dogs. They're terrible and I hate them.
Dude, okay.
And that's rough cuts. Thanks,
Real quick though. Do we want to rate the country of Germany and their animation?
Yes. Germany also gets an F. They deserve. I don't. We need the Hague to reconvene. Like
Right. I would like to give German animation a 9 out of 10. Thank you.
No.
That's rough cuts, everybody. See you later.